From the BBC today, Australian Senate approves social media ban on under 16s. Evening, ladies and gents, how are you doing? This one is quite a contentious issue, isn't it? In fact, we even had a minor argument about this today in the Bootneck household, as my missus thinks it's a good idea. As usual, being a chippy northerner, I had to be the voice of disagreement, and it went back and forth quite a bit, which got me thinking, probably a good topic for a video, isn't it? Because I'm sure this'll divide even my sensible, reasonable followers. My instant leanings whenever the state gets involved in trying to tell me how I should live my life, and in this case, how you raise your own children, right? If you were living in Australia, my instant response is to go, yes, Senator, of course I'll discuss this with you further. Do you want my phone number? It's 0121 do 1. Yeah, easy. Don't even entertain the idea. But there are counter-arguments. So let's read the story, digest all of it, and then I'll tell you why, well, obviously I'm right. Easy that, innit? Well, unless she watches this video. Right then, it's a contentious debate, this one, raging on social media. Plenty of arguments for and against. Let's read the story and I'll tell you my opinion. The Australian Senate has approved a social media ban on the under 16s. And here we see a young girl getting her mind melted by said social media company. Yes, you can see the glassy look on her eyes there. She's 2 seconds away from lopping her baps off, calling herself Dave, and starting an apprenticeship as a welder. Australia will ban children under 16 from using social media after its Senate approved the world's strictest laws. Well, there's your first clue that there's something up. The world's strictest laws. That's never a good thing, is it? I mean, it could be worse. I could be wearing the world's tightest jeans. But generally, if the world's strictest is involved, that's a sentence you don't want any part of. The ban, which will not take effect for at least 12 months, could see tech companies fined up to $50 million if they don't comply. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said the legislation is needed to protect young people from the harms of social media, something many parent groups have echoed. Yeah, well, you know who should be in charge with protecting children? The parents. The parents, yeah. And when you get the state involved, it's the thin end of the wedge. There's lots of things that are bad for children. I'll give you one good example. Allowing them to get groomed by a 45-year-old Pakistani man and then plied with Carlsberg special brew, dragged into a dirty flat above a greasy kebab shop, and then rogered like a copper's radio by him and 25 of his mates. And his sister-in-law's acting as the Uber driver for them all, apparently, because that's normal amongst that community, apparently. Yeah, there's something that's bad for children, which brings me to the question, did they do a good job of regulating that? But critics say questions over how the ban will work and its impact on privacy and social connection have been left unanswered. This is not the first attempt globally to limit children's social media use, but it involves the highest age limit set by any country and does not include exemptions for existing users or those with parental consent. Oh, we need more rules, we need more exclusions. The state has to be able to tell the parents what to do, don't they? And if little Sharon wants to call herself Boris and enter the weightlifting competition, she's allowed, isn't she? Although no, funny old thing, that only ever goes one way, doesn't it? Weird. Having passed the Senate by 34 votes to 19 late on Thursday, the bill will return to the House of Representatives, where the government has a majority, meaning it is sure to pass, for it to approve amendments before becoming law. The legislation does not specify which platforms will be banned. Those decisions will be made later by Australia's Communications Minister, who will seek advice from the E-Safety Commissioner, an internet regulator that will enforce the rules. Christ on a bike. And have you noticed how many layers there is nowadays? It has to go through a layer and a layer and a layer and a layer, like one of Shrek's onions. This is why you can't get anything done. Legislators and regulators. The E-Safety Commissioner and Internet Regulator. Who's he? How did he get the job? How can I sack him? There's the 3 questions I want to know. As usual. And it's the same, like I said to you, anyone who can't be fired or voted into a position, take that down to the bare minimum. If a random Somalian fella violates a 10-year-old, and 98% of the population of Europe decide that he is an oxygen thief of the highest order and he should be instantly deported, unelected bureaucrats at the European Court of Human Rights will come in and say, we don't care what 98% of you think, we're in charge, so he's staying and you're paying for his council house and his internet connection, so he can diddle a few more nippers. The state is awful at parenting. Everything they do proves it. Everything from the last 20 years has proved it. Endemic grooming for decades proves it. And you want to outsource this responsibility to the government? Last year, France introduced legislation to block social media access for children under 15. Well, there's your clue. If the French think it's a good idea, it's a bad one. Simple. There's a nice simple room I got off David Starkey. All bad ideas are French. If they think it's a good idea, do the opposite. It sounds weird, but it's a rule that's never sent me the wrong way so far. And here's the end bit which you're going to love to see. Australia's laws are being watched with great interest by global leaders. Well, there you go. And when the option arrives to exercise state power, to stomp on people's ability to make free choices and free decisions, they always go with the easy choice. And the easy choice is taking away your choice. That's how they do it. So, what do you think? Where do you sit on it? There is definitely evidence that social media is terrible for young people. If I had kids, I'd probably ban them from going on it as well. I wouldn't buy them a smartphone. I wouldn't let them go on the apps, and I'd ruthlessly enforce it in the house. But what I don't support is the government getting involved. Because the next thing you know, they won't be going on social media, but they'll be disappearing into a sinker state with 25 blokes from Algeria. You can bet your bottom dollar on that. Never ever outsource parenting to the government. Even if we can disagree that social media is a bad idea for kids, they will find some way of allowing this to be the thin end of a very small wedge that will rapidly expand in size until it's the same thickness as the Chinese telephone book. But that's just my opinion. If you think it's a great idea, for once, I am being serious. If you do think it's a good idea and you've got some interesting counterpoints I haven't thought of, you can put them in the comments and I will only gently mock you this time, all right? That's me for the day. I'm off to enjoy Thanksgiving with the family, okay? So toodle pip, I'm off to drink booze and eat things that are so dense in calories, a single serving can instantly triple your blood pressure reading. All right, thanks for viewing. See you all tomorrow. Have a good night. Cheers.